that certain fruits come out from his heart. According to the 3 scriptures we have read. Now, the things you will see as the signs that you will use to know a false prophet are the things that come out of the heart, and this verse shows us. This verse 15 shows us. And what are the things the verse 15 shows us? They say evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. These are the things that defile. These are the things that defile. These are the things that defile. These are the things that separate a man from his original pursuit, from the original. So hold on. If the false prophet, listen to me. I told you that the false prophet is even from the fake prophet, and it's even from those Babalawo boys. If the Babalawo boys, I told you the Babalawo boys will not ever come and tell God, Lord, Lord. They know, that they were not servants of God. They will not say, Lord, Lord. The false prophet, according to Matthew 7, said, Lord, Lord. They were inside a category of people that said, Lord, Lord. Did we not cast out demons in your name, and in your name work out wonderful things and all of those things? Those things were not just church members. It was the leaders of the church. It was the blind leaders. Now, what does it mean to be blind? When they say the blind leads the blind, what they meant by the blind is not that the man does not know plenty scripture. The blind leading the blind, according to that scripture, is tied to fruit. Is anybody understand what I'm trying? The blind leading the blind is fruitless man leading fruitless people. So who was the false prophet who is a leader? He's a fruitless man that became comfortable in his unfruitfulness. Then Satan weaponized his unfruitfulness to gather other unfruitful people who will go to hell with him. So remember, if you remember my definition of false prophet, I told you false prophet, to be a false prophet, is that you did not grow. You did not let the word to change and save you, right? You did not conform to the image of Christ. You now grew in the ranks until maybe you were now ordained, called a leader because of you have been around. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Meanwhile, you did not bring fruit. That thing about you, remember we're talking about somebody that does not know his God. You have not learned your God to conform to the image, not just knowing it in your head. Now, you not having the nature does not stop you from knowing the scriptures in your head. So like as I am now, I can quote all the scriptures, and that can never be the sign that I'm approved of God. False prophet na person we don't hang around to know the nitty-gritties around church. He don't understand all the modus operandi of the church organization. Enough to be able to even stand and tell another person about it, right? But listen, he never let those things to bear fruit in him. So what Satan will do is that your ignorance that you did not know ever since, that as you are hearing and you are not changing, you are growing into something that Satan will now use against anybody that wants to serve God. Satan will weaponize your lack of fruit bearing and make you a false prophet. So listen, the false prophets, according to Matthew 7, that know that they did juju are not expecting to go to heaven. They know that them and Jesus are not in good state. The false prophets that we go to hell are the people that will say, Lord, Lord. That means a real false prophet is somebody that Satan weaponized his refusal to bear fruit that remained in church. So every single time you refuse to bear fruit in situations, you are enrolling to be false prophet. Because whether you like it or not, your lack of bearing fruit will not make you not know what I'm teaching. That means the day I'm not in church, if they give you mic, you can accurately teach this thing. Teaching itself does not even by any means mean that you are bearing the fruit. Jesus Christ rightly said now in Matthew chapter 23, in the verse 1, he spoke about the Pharisees. He said, whatever they tell you to do, do, but don't do whatever you see them. Whatever they say to you, do, but don't do whatever you see them do. And those were the people they called the blind that lead the blind. It was the Pharisees, because Peter came and asked you, did you notice that the Pharisees were angry? He said, but leave those people. So it was the Pharisees were talking about. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples. And what did he say? Next verse. He's saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. You know, Moses' seat is teacher's seat. See the way I'm teaching to sit. That's why it was the Jewish culture to sit down. So you see, as I am now, I'm fulfilling one of the characteristics of Pharisees. Right now, just by sitting on this chair to teach you, I'm looking like a Pharisee. The only thing that will separate me between me and the only thing that will differentiate between me and Pharisee now is the next verse. See the next verse. They sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. Whatever I tell you to observe, observe and do. That means he's saying whatever I'm telling you now, do it. That means I'm still looking like the Pharisee. I'm not any different from the Pharisees up until this point. Is anybody with me? But do not hear after their works, for they say and do not. So the difference between me and the Pharisee, one is I fulfill the requirement of sitting in Moses' seat. Are you understand what I'm trying to say? Two, I fulfill the requirement of preaching what God will like the people to hear. So that Jesus was bold enough to even say anything they say you should do. That means he's not preaching wrong doctrine. He's not teaching wrong doctrine. So they say what he even says do. But the next thing they say, what makes a real Pharisee is don't do what he's doing. Then they went further to say they will bind a lot of things on the people, but themselves will not lift up their hand to help the people. For they bind heavy burdens, grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulder, but they themselves will not move them with one finger or with one of their fingers. Listen, the making of a false prophet is done in a real church. The rank of false prophet, their rank in false prophethood is tied to how sound the doctrine they heard was. The more sound the doctrine you hear, the more qualified you are to be a false prophet. Because if you don't bear fruit hearing such sound words, you will know how to maneuver. You will know exactly what to do to look like a correct person. If you don't bear the fruit inside, person when no to no sound doctrine, no go no, in form of godliness, no go really look like real godliness. Like person where yes sound doctrine, but you no conform. So who is a false prophet? A false prophet is not somebody that meant to babalao. No, false prophet na brother for church, where no let seasons to change him. Yet he grew in the ranks in church until one day